Hello there, and welcome again. I'm now going to do, what can I say? A new nightmare. That's right, the new nightmare. Now, as we already know, in 1991 to be precise, that Robert England weren't going to do Freddy no more. He was going to hang away and put away his Freddy duff. But at the time, at the time, at the time, yeah, at the time, I think at the time, yeah, it was 10 days from when the original come out, that being the original Nightmare on Elm Street. And Wes Craven thought he should have done the sequels. I mean, he should have done the sequels. So I'm going to tell more the history of the film more than the film itself, being New Nightmare. Now, for people that may or may not know this, when the third Nightmare on Elm Street come out, that being the Dream Warriors, Wes Craven was going to write and he was going to direct it. I shit you not, he was going to direct this one. There's bits where he thought, yeah, I should have done the second one. You know, it was a big hit, but wasn't as successful as the original. So they decided, let's bring back Wes Craven. But at the time, he written a script, he written a story. The producers at the time, he was doing, New Line Cinema. He was doing the Elm Street film, being the third one. They felt it was too dark, and they just couldn't figure it out. So sadly to say, Wes Craven never got to write and direct the third Elm Street film. And he had this for this, from all the other sequels, whether it be number 4, whether it be number 5, he had it for this script, what he originally was going to use for the third Elm Street film. It was only after 10 days of the original that he decided, yeah, why not? I'll do it. And Robert England decided, yeah, why not? You know, at the time, he was doing other things and doing other horror films, but wasn't as successful as Freddy. So he decided, why not? I'll just come back one more time. That being New Nightmare. As I said, bullshit, sorry. One more time. I thought we got in Freddy versus Jason there. But at the time, that's what he was going to do. So, yeah, Wes Craven come back, and if old people come back, raising Effertamp, Nancy, she come back, and that Danson, he come back. So we had a lot of actors from the original, as well as the third, come back to play their role. Now, as you may or may not know, in 1994, sadly to say, a lot of Freddy fans, a lot of Elm Street fans boo-hooed this. Believe it or not, it was a panned film when it first came out. Big amount of Freddy fans insulted it and gored it and said, what the hell was Wes Craven thinking of, da 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 da. And it did get a lot of shitty ticket system in the UK. And I know it got a lot of shit in America when it first come out. But over the years, such as we had shit like the fucking remake. Ooh, I fucking ate, I spit a smize the fucking remake. I spies it. I fucking spies it. But I think over the years people have given this a bit of leeway, because I see Wes Craven tried to do something different. He tried to do something unique. Unlike the fucking horrible director, Mr. Bearass, who basically fucking ripped us off with a fucking horrible shitty fucking remake and copies every fucking line from the book. I see this one, Wes Craven, he tried to do something different. Now it starts off, and the funny thing about this is, the actors have their own names. Effertamp has her own name, that Danson has her own name, and Robert England actually comes into it as Robert fucking England. I shit you not, he comes into it as Robert England. There's a bit in it where, Effertamp's on a talk show talking about the process of Elm Street 1. There's more about Elm Street 1, never mentions Elm Street 3. But Robert England comes into it, begins to jabber as Freddy, and she's laughing and all that, because they come back as the actors in this. So I thought that's quite clever, and it's kind of unique. And Effertamp's now got a little boy. She's now, she's a tall woman, and she's got a little kid, a little boy, a little lad. And he's having nightmares of the real Freddy, and Wes Craven. Basically, he's in the film as fucking Wes Craven. I shit you not, Wes Craven comes into it, just appearance as Wes Craven. And he advises Effertamp to do this film. But she's saying, oh no, Freddy's going to attack my kid, Because the real Freddy is trying to come out from the real world. And when you think about it, that's like tough. That is like unique for any movie to do that. So I think now a lot of Freddy fans over the years, they've kind of given Elm Street, New Nightmare a lot of leeway. They have given it a lot of leeway compared to when it first come out. You know what I mean? Yeah, Freddy doesn't kill as much in this. Some of the death scenes are laughable. There's a Freddy Duff, right? Comes alive and attacks somebody and stabs them in the chest. I do admit the effect is like laughable and wonky. But there's a good scene in it with Dana copies. If you remember the character Tina from the original Elm Street, they done a copy of that in a little bit where Freddy comes from a wall and gets this girl, and this time you see Freddy attacking her. It's not her bouncing about on the wall. You do see that. Now, I do know in the original Elm Street there was a lot more in that. There's a lot more Jaffe. You do actually see Freddy killing Tina, but you know, it was censored down and it was cut, and they got to see how Tina got it in the original. But in this, you do actually see how that death originally in the original Elm Street was going to be. So I like that. I think that's pretty tough. I mean, that's pretty tough. It's a very toughy, if you like, this is a very toughly done film. And also when you think about it, they already did the fucking remake of Elm Street. Wes Craven did it. Badass. Wes Craven beating you do the fucking remake. It was called fucking New Nightmare. Because think about it, there's even a scene in it, right, where Alice pings up, you know, she picks up the phone, Alice, you know, Nancy Allen, she picks up the phone and the fucking tongue comes out just like in the original Elm Street film. So Evertamp I meant to say, Nancy Allen, different access. Evertamp picks up the phone and the tongue, like I say, the fucking tongue comes out and licks her face, just like the fucking original. Just like the original, but the only difference is they're playing their own characters. She's got a little lad, and the real Freddy is basically trying to kill the lad. He's trying to kill him. I do think it's a very toughly done film, though. The fact that there's bits in it where it's in set and he's in a dungeon, and Freddy's trying to attack. I meant to say, trying to attack the little boy. He's trying to attack him, and the little lad saying, "No, Freddy's trying to eat me." And that's something else I like about this. Unlike Elm Street number 3 and 4, I would say that was more the funny Freddy. See, Freddy was always dark in certain ones. The original, as we know, Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, it was dark, it was frightening, it was terrifying. Number 2, it was scary and fine. Even when it came out with some of the one-liners. You've got the body, but I've got the brain. You know, and he rips his fucking skin off. He was pretty frightening. So in 3 and 4, that was more the funny Freddy. You know, big breaking TV, Jennifer. Cut the bam down, bitch. You know, he's more humorous. And in Elm Street 4, when he kills a girl, do you want to suck face? You funked. How's this for a wet dream? See what I mean? So even then he come out with funny liners. It was only when he did 5. It was a bit dark again, even though I'm not a lover of the 5th one. And it was only when he did number 6, he went and he had a bar, he had a laugh. But in this, I would say that Freddy Krueger was more darker. It was more darker than this. So he went back to being the dark and scary Freddy, which I like that. I like it. Freddy's death isn't really that memorable. The kid gets the better out of him and he gets killed. That's one thing. I do think the death should have been more memorable. You know, I do reckon the best death of Freddy would have been Elm Street 4. You know, when all the bodies are coming out of Freddy. But again, it's not a bad one. You know, I can think of better things to watch. So yeah, Elm Street, A New Nightmare. And let me tell you one thing, it definitely kicked the shit out of the fucking remake. And that's for this being the last one what England did. No, it wasn't. As we all know, Freddy vs. Jason was the last one. And one day around the road, I might even talk about the pole jams of Freddy. And then go back to Freddy vs. Jason. Because, you know, I already did Freddy vs. Jason not long ago. So it just seems pointless to do it again. But one day I will do Freddy vs. Jason. One day I'll have to do that fucking remake again. It'll definitely be a rant. Because that one has definitely got no imagination. And then talk about other things. Now, is there anything people want me to talk about? or speak about, just press that button. Or type me a nice little email and let me know. Or if you like what I'm talking about, press that button, as I was about to say, and subscribe to me. Subscribe to me. I'm a big sucker for conversation. And as we already know, I got a few new subscribers a few weeks ago, which I'm happy about. So a big thank you to my new subs. And hopefully I'll get more on the way. If not, leave me a nice comment. Or let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. Other than that, people, I'll talk about more films. I might talk about more fetish. I might talk about more werewolf films and more things on the way. Until then, be smart, be safe, and I'll see you soon.